I was on all the MTV awards with different recording artists, did some music videos and tours and things like that. And it was an amazing experience. Got to travel the world and experience some stuff. And it was beautiful. I'm so blessed to have done that. Living in New York, everything is check to check. You don't know when your next gig is coming from at the time. You go on these auditions and stuff, and you get a whole bunch of money, and you'd have to make that money last. But I wasn't diligent and I wasn't really doing what I needed to do. So I would spend it and then just be like hoarding.
Hello, and thank you for coming to the Mental Real Estate Podcast.
Thank you, Nicole.
We've been friends for a long time.
I know.
Do you remember the first time we met?
Absolutely, Nashville. It was at the retreat. We walked up to me, I think it was the Coast to Coast event. I was like, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous. You came up to me hand in hand and we
I thought the
started
same
walking.
thing. I just love watching your journey, especially being on the team that you're on now.
Mm-hmm.
All female, right?
Yep.
Gone international.
Yes.
We see Miami, Florida,
Mm-hmm.
Fort Lauderdale,
Correct.
Florida. We have Dominican Republic, Tulum, Mexico, and then soon to be
Ghana, praise. Let's hope.
Okay. All right. No, it's already in the universe.
It's
in already
the air.
for you.
I traveled there and we met connections with people over there, and it's a beautiful thing.
Can we take a step back though and say how your beginnings of creating wealth and getting into real estate, what did that look like?
I was blessed that my parents, matter of fact, because I'm Haitian American, and my parents, when they came here, just always wanted more. My dad went to school, he was a physician, and as soon as they started, they bought a home. Their first home as immigrants was a duplex. They had a home that was incoming producing.
Okay.
That was their first home, and so they taught me that. So I was lucky enough where my family members were able to teach me how to truly build wealth. And they've always had investments. I went in a completely different path out of school and I was performing. But then I retired, had baby, wanted to be close to family, came down to Miami, originally from New York, New Jersey area. And then my mom, because they had all these investment properties, because that's what they knew, and real estate was the way to build wealth. And so they had these, and they asked me, hey, do you want to manage? I was like, I don't want to manage anything, but I did get my license and I fell in love with real estate 2010, and I haven't turned back. I've been there ever since, and helping people completely invest as well as buy and sell properties. And
for sharing that, because a lot of times when homeowners and first-time home buyers are looking for an agent, I feel like the questions are so standard. How many houses have we sold last year? And all these different things, but it's really nice to know who's behind the for sale sign.
Correct.
Especially people who come from an immigrant background. I feel like it's important because how else would you have learned to purchase, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're a parent. What are you teaching your kids?
First is budgeting. That's an important thing. Even though my mom taught me about investing, budgeting was something that was always not in my wheelhouse. I would say, I like to just spend. I had it and I'd spend it. Mm-hmm. She was able to support me with that. So I'm teaching my daughter now, you have to have a budget or some type of money system where when it comes in, it has to work for it. We have to have our money. Our dollars are our employees and they have to work for us in order to make it. It's not us always going out to physically work for the money. Once we get it, we have to have it working for us. So those are employees. So I'm trying to teach her that. To budget first, always put something away as something for the future. You have this to spend. This is what you have to spend. And then I'm making her right now, there's a budget where she pays for her room. She pays for her food.
Wait, hold on. How old is your daughter? Just so people are listening.
That's your shelter.
Yeah. But how old is she so that people know?
She's 15. I think for certain generations, there are people who just at 18, they have to be out. You have to get on your own. No. Especially with the economy the way it is now, I believe that let them stay, let them build, because it's really hard out there. Being in the business, I think it's harder for the younger generation to be able to purchase a property. So having them stay home and really stack up, learn and have something stable in the back to learn about money, learn about borrowing money at home first before you just be on your own. It's not, you don't have to have the school of hard knocks. Be at home with this and start saving and start stacking, really understand what you're getting yourself into. You don't want to lose your home, you know what I'm saying? Let them leave, it's going to be for good, and then you'll be able to take care of me.
You said, let them leave and let it be for good.
For good, you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm, hopefully, she'll keep ingrained. We never know.
I have so many questions for Okay, first question is, did you ever live in scarcity? And if so, How did you make that move from, I call it like scarcity, right? As
Yeah.
if it was an actual place,
No,
to abundance, to the
it's
land of
natural,
abundance.
yeah.
Yeah. How did you make that move?
When I was dancing, I'm not going to be able to make it anymore. I'm like, God has just shifted that for me as well. God has definitely going back into prayer that He's always going to be providing for me. We still have to put the work in, be stewards of the money that we're being fiduciaries of what we have been given. So once I really sat down and prayed, like He just put something over me to just, you are abundant, grateful. Once I made myself understand that what I have, just be grateful for what I have. I don't have to be chasing at all times. I think my mindset of chasing, I have what I have right now, and it's really sufficient. It's sufficient what I have, and the more I continue to be grateful and serving. Once that mindset shift, being of service, it's just going to come to me. And it has. That's what, especially this year, I've heard it before, but once you really internalize it and it happens, you're like, oh. And it just shifted.
Gratitude is, I'm thankful for the things that I have no control of, really, right? Air, seats, lights, but acknowledgement is, I'm grateful for the things that I have control of, that I put into place. And so how are you navigating that, right? Of saying gratitude versus acknowledgement. How are you making that a practice? Because I think that's really about ownership.
Every day, I have my 5 W's that help me every day that I put into place. Wake up, get some water, worship, walk, and then I work. That's it. Those are my 5 W's.
I love
and
that.
That kind of keeps me grounded and keep on going. Where I have to have those in order. Once I wake up, I'm very grateful. I drink my water. I worship my God. I go for a walk, and then sometimes that's at the same time,
right?
While you're walking and doing that. So yeah, that's how it is for me. And I try not to get angry. I try to look at the other person, like especially if I'm working, I try to look at their side of certain things. And I can't continue to be angry at them, especially if they don't know whatever they're going through. It's those types of things that make me calm down and just shift my mindset. Seeing some other person, what they're going through, what they could be going through, make that mind shift for me to help settle me and support them and be of service to them, even though they're in a whole other space of anger or other space of confusion. It's my job, person of service, to be empathetic and see that in order to support and control whatever needs to be controlled. If that makes sense.
It makes a ton of sense.
Okay.
Makes a ton of sense. In order to be a great salesperson or a great person of service in any industry, I believe that it starts with empathy.
Absolutely.
Having the ability to see yourself in others and knowing that energy is just energy, regardless if it's anger, if it's happiness or whatever. And so I know that our job is to help facilitate that energy.
Correct.
I want to help you work through that energy.
Exactly.
I don't know about you. When I was younger, I used to have to box it out or move it. You want to transmute it, you want to use it. So when you have challenging clients or when things don't go your way, how are you moving energy?
Before, I would react immediately and just like in a fearful way. And I had to shift that and just sit and be still and understand. That's what I was saying. I have to look at their side instead of, because they're coming at me. When a deal recently, had a deal where the buyer's lender screwed everything all up. And then now the seller is angry at me. And I'm like, I didn't do anything, and I have to see on her end what's happening, how she had to move, how she's doing everything and was counting on me. Where did I go wrong on that? Instead of me jumping and being angry and shifting and being upset at her for being mad at me, I'm like, okay, what's happening? Sitting still helps me compete and then help navigate the situation, how I can able to communicate to the seller and also communicate forcefully with the lender or the buyer side.
Just underline forcefully. But yeah.
You know how you messed up on this deal, making me look crazy because you didn't do your job correctly. Sitting still and really, instead of reacting right away, take it in, evaluate properly, and then act.
This podcast is called Mental Real Estate. When I hear you say sit still, I imagine or I think of being home. Coming home to yourself. And I know a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, were afraid to be alone with themselves. So what do you say to somebody who it's hard for them to be still? It's hard for them to sit in silence with themselves.
That's an issue. That's one thing that I'm having with my daughter. She's always having, whether it's technology or something in her ear. One quote she said to me one time when I was like, I took everything away from her. She was like, the silence is deafening. That's a problem. You have to be able to sit with yourself, and all your answers come to you. When you sit silent, like the answers truly come to you. And so I am a true believer in that because I've experienced it. So I'm not going to say anything to anybody that I haven't truly experienced for myself. Silence is beautiful. We get so much coming at us at all times. How are we able to focus and really understand what's happening? So silence. That puts your mental state at peace and are able to function. I don't think you're able to function with everything on or things. And that's when you become frantic. That's when you have anxieties and all with everything coming at you all the time. So that's how I find my peace, with silence.
I am so thankful for people like you in the world that are passing down that gift of silence to your children. That's amazing.
Some people even feel the need to talk. Sometimes you don't need to talk. Even with being in somebody's presence and they're speaking to you or whatever, you don't need to say anything, and we're just your presence and being there, them knowing the silence is.
It's priceless, right? Yeah. What is the number one mistake first-time home buyers make?
First-time home buyers, thinking they can do it on their own.
Ooh.
Because especially now, because of technology, they're like, they don't need an agent. And I'm like, I promise you do. I'm not steering you wrong. I'm not trying to take money out of your pocket or anything. Trying to do this by yourself is a big mistake. Plain and simple.
Why do you think it's a big mistake for a person on the street to represent themselves in purchasing a home?
So many little nuances besides the legal paperwork, besides you don't know what's happening on the seller side that we're as experienced agents understand about the roof, about certain things of the house, and just legal stuff with your HOA and things that you may have missed, documents that you need for them to provide to you that they may not want to or whatever have you, with title, the different ways that we have to
disclosures.
All of it. It's just, I know what mold smells like. I know what certain things. I now walk into a house or that little ding or that little spot on the house because I've seen so many houses and I've seen deals fall through. There could be like 100 different things that can make a deal fall through that you don't have any experience in. You could lose your deposit. And I know each state is different because I know in North Carolina, they have what they call some deals that are now, where it's a deposit where it doesn't come back to you. But in Florida, you can cancel a deal and get your deposit coming back to you.
Even if you cancel, or
if
you have no
deal in North Carolina, if you cancel the contract, there's a deposit that you lose. Period. So you have to be completely sure that you want that house,
right.
Even with inspection. With us in Florida,
and contingencies,
it's called a contingency fee that you pay to the seller that I want this house, and if I don't move through with it, you keep that money. And it's been escalating ever since in North Carolina.
Okay.
In Florida, it's completely different. If you do not want the property, if you find something different between your contingency period, you're able to get your money back.
Same with California.
I have to keep you on time.
Right.
You don't know the time frame within that contract. You got to follow through. So.
Or you may not know how to write it.
That part. That part.
Or know that you can have contingencies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that would be my mistake. Get a professional to support you as a first-time home buyer. Don't do it on your own.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, and we will be back. We'll do this again.
Absolutely.
And it's always a pleasure and an honor to be in your presence, with words or without words, in silence or with,
For sure with noise. For sure. I love you.